Today, we're reviewing my $40,000 June and my July results so far. What's up, guys? After a long hiatus, I'm back and I'm ready to bring you more Merch by Amazon content. 1 month ago, I had the privilege of marrying my best friend and love of my life, and the following weeks, we completely disconnected and had an absolutely amazing adventure. Taking a road trip around Costa Rica for our honeymoon, which is why you haven't seen or heard from me in some time. I'm very fortunate and humbled to have the opportunity to take this time away and spend that time with my family, in no small part due to merch and the passive income that provides. And I truly hope each and every one of you can use merch to reach a point that you can do the same and spend time on what really matters. Not grinding it out 24/7, but spending it on what you actually want to do with friends, family, your loved ones, your hobbies. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. With that said, let's jump right into merch and check out how I've done the last couple months. All right, so we're here in merch. On the Pretty Merch dashboard here, and last month you can see I did $40,420 on the US marketplace. So June certainly did not disappoint. It's historically been one of my best months. Last year it was my best month, but still not quite as good as last year. Of course, last year was super unique with the COVID situation, everything that went on. We'll jump into some last year numbers as well. And then this month here, 8,500 through the 25th, partly through the 25th. So pacing about $10,000 there. Obviously a pretty huge drop from June, which is really no surprise. June is a much better Merch by Amazon month, given the products in most categories compared to July. Although this is quite a bit lower than last July as well, but we'll look at some year-over-year numbers. But let's go into analytics here. All right, so here's the graph for June. You can see it was pretty bonkers there for a while with between 300 and 500 at the most units per day through the, I don't know, about first half or so of the month, and then it started to drop off. A lot of that is due to the categories I'm in. We'll jump down to the products and kind of touch on those a bit. 8,300 total sales for the $40,400 at $4.86 per unit. So I do keep my pricing generally at about $20 per shirt. Even the new designs I'm putting out there now start at $19.99. Some niches I'll start, especially more the high competition niches, I'll tend to start at a lower amount and raise those once I have reviews. That's kind of like the key metric, is getting reviews first and foremost. And then start ranking. So average 277 a day. You see my royalties per day averaged about 1,300. But if we go back up here, you can see at peak day it was over $2,000, $2,600 in royalties. Not my best day ever. Again, last June was better by a bit. I think it was about around $54,000 total, and more profitable too. Record day 530. Just went over that and sold 602 unique products, which this is definitely the most unique products I've sold by a fairly considerable amount. They've been increasing quite a bit, and part of that's due to the new ads that I'm running, which maybe I'll touch on here in this video. But basically the strategy is to have ads on every single product that you have. And I'm using some single campaigns, single ad groups with all of my ASINs in a single ad group, and those have been performing really well. My 80-20 rule, so not really an 80-20 rule, but I have a couple big selling products that generate most of my royalties, which you'll see here in a minute. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you're familiar with that. It's the same couple products doing the most. So yeah, 1%, so 5 of my products generating 80% of them. No surprises here. Standard t-shirt sold the most by far, and then V-neck, tank top, and pullover hoodies, and iPhone cases to round out the top 5. The other products I don't spend a ton of effort in. I do upload to them, but they don't really produce near as much as these other ones. So specifically standard tee is going to be your bread and butter for pretty much every seller. Men, women, that sort of thing. All this is pretty standard. Black is, of course, the best color. I put all my products on dark designs. I don't really or dark backgrounds, I should say. I don't really design too much for the light colored designs, although I may start doing that a little bit more with the slots that are available, which we'll jump into. So products sold, I'll go through the top one. So you can see I have 2 products that pretty much made up the majority of my sales. So one of them getting a lift from Pride Month. It's kind of in the, I don't know, kindness or positive messaging niche. And then one from Father's Day, which sell, both these are evergreen designs. They sell all year round, but they both get big lifts in June, again, due to Father's Day, Pride Month for one of them, and then Christmas, of course, too. So any of the big gift giving holidays. And then you can see I have several more that sell several units a day. So this one's selling 3 to 4 a day on average, you know, and so on, 3 a day, couple a day, that sort of thing. So I have quite a few more that are evergreen that sell regularly. But these 2 are definitely, you know, out of the, what is it, 8,300 sales, this made up about 3,300 or 6,300 of them. So what is that, like 75%, something like that, those 2. Both of these products, so this is where I spent most of my time and energy through June. When I say time and energy, that really comes from Amazon advertising, where I'm going to spend my time. Both of these products were top 100 merch by Amazon shirts throughout pretty much the whole month with low BSRs. I think the lowest BSR I got on one of them was probably around 2,000, maybe a little bit lower than that. I'd have to check. I mean, looked at kind of historical BSR through that to see how it did. But just as I was checking, it was around like 2,000 BSR. The other ones were, my other one was a little bit higher than that. But both of them performed really well. Didn't quite hit the numbers as last year, like I said. If we look at let me see the best way to do this. If we look at last June, so we did 40,000 this June, and last June, which I did do another video about. If you look through the videos, you'll see June of last year, I talk about one shirt that made me a bunch of money. So this last year, 14,000 and did 53,000 in royalties. So almost double the number of products. Last year, my best-selling shirt was a much lower royalty, as you can see here. It did by itself 12,000 units versus this year's 3,000 units. Again, a lot of that had to do with last year's just kind of unique circumstances. A lot of different factors, but COVID being one, Pride Month last year, there was the riots. There was just a lot of unique factors that went into last year to lead to this. So I don't know if I'll ever see those kind of numbers again in June. I hope so. But you can also see I didn't have as big of a second seller. So that was new this year, is I had a second one really pop off, which I believe was this design. It's blurred for me too, so I don't know exactly, but I'm pretty sure this was the one last year. So you can see year over year, this went from 250 units to over 3,000 units. And that's the difference of a year can make with generating reviews and going through a couple sales cycles where you generate those sales to eventually get reviews. That was what makes the difference, as well as just a lot of preparation for June too. I knew it was my big month. I spent a lot of time and money on advertising to rank them ahead of time, so they're in a position to compete against these other top selling ASINs during this time, this big gift giving holiday. So back to this month, we'll let's jump into the ads, just kind of go over what the actual profit is of this month. So we're at $40,420, just US. I'll jump into other markets here in a second, but advertising, so we make sure we got so last month, this was June, I spent $15,336 with an ACoS of 28.7%, so a little bit above break even, which is about 26% for me based on the products. If you put a t-shirt at $20, for example, your profit margin's about 26%. So that's, if you've watched my other content, like through the Amazon advertising Facebook group that we have, where I've put a lot of different content as well, you'll know that I'm pretty aggressive with advertising and shoot for break even on ads, and let the organic sales kind of make up for that. So the profit total was at $15,420 from the 40, so about $25,000 in profit from the US marketplace for June. So overall, pretty satisfied with the month. I did hope, based on last year's number, that it would have been better, especially having a second product here that performed that didn't. That's the one that did 250 units, so about 10x, over a 10x increase. But overall, again, not too shabby. So yeah, I'll take it. If we look at what's different about the June versus other months, is that I actually did do decent in some other markets. So Germany is about the only one that is worth talking about. I have a shirt there that started to perform. So you can see for June, I did $1,000, 1,000 euros in royalties in June, which is the first month I've really done much of anything in June, and that's a handful of shirts, but it's pretty much all, it's from one design, which is the same bestseller that's in the US market. So same design can perform in other marketplaces, and I don't even have this one translated either. So people do search English. I know there's the new feature where they're going to translate, but in these other marketplaces, I could see the need for having both languages on there to rank for both English and German if it's a German marketplace, or whatever native language the marketplace speaks. And if we look at the advertising for Germany, so we did what, $1,000 pretty much on the dot. Advertising last month, 464, so pretty high, like overall advertising spend versus the revenue from the account. Some people call that like ACOTS, or advertising cost of total sales, which gets a little wacky to calculate with merch just because it's on a royalty basis versus like true revenue. But so it's closer to that 50% mark. I like to have it generally lower than that, but being that this is kind of a new entry into the market for me, I'm happy to spend more in order to rank the products over time. So this is kind of that first sales cycle for this product, and like you saw with the other product from the US market, that more than 10x year over year, that happens, and that can happen in other marketplaces too. So excited to see how that performs next year and the following year, once it's kind of really started to generate more reviews, more traction, ranking, all that good stuff. And then for this month, let's jump into that. Just give you a quick update how July is going. Already touched on that, but let me pull up US. So it's been slower than, of course, I would like it. It's been kind of up and down a little bit, between 60 and 100 units a day, we'll call it. So pacing about $10,000. It's going to be similar, same couple products making up most of that revenue. It is a little bit more spread out, like that 80-20 rule that was from just 5 products. It's now 38 products generating that. So it is spread out more. That's of course due to those not selling as much to weight that. But I am seeing a lot more unique sales. Let's see how many I got. So I've already sold 330 this month at much lower sales versus last month's 600. So not bad. Part of that's due just to the number of products I uploaded while I was gone the last month. So July 8,500. If we look at advertising for this month, $2,000, 2,100, 85. So we're at 6,400 in profit after ad spend. Germany, if we look at that for this month, $590. So where do we pay? It's like the 25th. So I don't know, we'll probably hit like 700, 750. So also a little bit lower, but not as drastic as the US marketplace. And then ad spend for Germany this month, 229. So kind of that similar, that's about a third or so. So maybe a little bit better, and a 29% ACOS. So pretty similar. Now for the advertising and pretty much everything. So I wasn't uploading during the month I was gone. I completely disconnected, which highly recommend if you have the opportunity to do so. It was definitely an eye-opening experience. It was life-changing, all that good stuff. And as far as the ads though, I also didn't make any modifications to the advertising, which I don't recommend. Now during June, I was very active with my advertising because of the volatility that comes with a month like that and the high budgets where at times I'm spending several $100s a day. So if you look at last month, we'll go back to last month. So for June, I was very active with it, and you can see at the end of the day, or end of the month I should say, the spend definitely started trailing. So that's the orange line here. So at some days I was spending close to $1,000. I was watching my ads like a hawk during those days, checking it several times, making sure budgets, I would increase those for any targets that were within my target ACoS, for example, optimizing my bids. And that's something you almost have to do when you have months like that. So like end of November, December, very similar sales time period there where you need to be very actively managing your ads. However, this month, I was gone. I didn't touch my computer. I didn't look at them, which I don't tend to recommend. The reason I'm able to do this is because I have software that manages my advertising, Merchjar, which does happen to be my own software that me and my co-founder did develop. But that's the reason why I was able to not touch my ads, and they didn't go crazy. My ACoS actually went down a bit closer. My target's about 26%, so pretty close to that. Due to the automation software that handles all those bid optimizations for me. I'll have a link down in the description for Merchjar if you do want to check that out. It manages your bids, it moves keywords around automatically. You can automate a ton of time-consuming tasks that you can take time away without having to constantly manage them. If you're only spending a couple bucks, it's probably not worth it. Just optimize your ads once a week or so, but if you have hundreds or thousands of campaigns and keywords, some kind of automation software definitely helps to make it so you can't have a vacation. So now jumping into the dashboard, you can see I have close to 37,000 designs, unique designs posted out of the 120,000 that I'm allowed, and that is 178,000 products have a potential 7.6 million. So I have a ton of products to still design, and this is from that change that happened, I don't know, a couple months ago, where the tier is now based on your designs, not your number of listings. One change that happened while I was gone was the number of products submitted. So it's still based on products or the number of listings, not the designs itself that you can submit today. That was cut in half, which isn't great. I know 1,200 seems like a lot, but that's really not that difficult to hit. Again, while I was gone, I didn't upload at all. So the last month pretty much didn't upload. So I just started about a day or so ago as I got home and just kind of got back in the swing of things. So we're at 178,000 now. I think beginning of June, it was probably like 150 or 160, something like that. So I was uploading when it was still 2,400 per day. So the changes to that, that's actually a pretty big change. How does that change what I'm uploading? So it basically, how I'm approaching my uploads at this point depends on how many designs I have in production or available. Basically what I have a design team that creates designs for myself and now some others, which I'll touch on in a second. And based on how many designs I have, like currently I think I have about 1,500 designs that are just sitting there, unique designs waiting to be uploaded and put on products. Based on the number, if I have a lot of designs, I'm essentially going to reduce the number of products I'm putting them on, versus if I only had maybe 500 designs left, I may spread that out over more days and put them on more products, more marketplaces. But because I have kind of a stockpile of designs that will last me a little bit, I'm reducing what products I'm putting on. So I'm essentially putting them on the top 3 to 5 products. So like your standard tee, your V-neck, your tank top, and your hoodie. and uploading just to those just on the US marketplace. If I had fewer designs, I'd probably, spread those out over more products. If I had more designs, I'd probably have them on less products and just put them on standard t-shirts. So it kind of depends on design production a bit. We're scaling and ramping that up, so we'll have more designs. So I'll probably reduce it even further to perhaps where I'm only putting them on standard tees. Basically, my strategy there is I'm hoping some software comes out that makes it easy to scale horizontally. So taking your existing products or your designs and scaling those out to the other products and other marketplaces. I don't know of a software that does that now. So if you do know one, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'm going to keep pushing to what's going to have the highest likelihood of sell through, which is standard t-shirts. So sell the most, hands down. There's no contest. Ideal situation, I'd have enough designs where I'm just uploading 1,200 standard tees per day until I fill up my slots, and then I would spend my allocation on that horizontal expansion to other products and other marketplaces, prioritizing the ones that are most likely to sell. So not just taking my best-selling designs or whatever and putting them on all 64 different product types across different markets, still being a little more strategic about it. Again, at this time, US market still 100% the focus, although some other marketplaces, there definitely is a lot of opportunity there, especially if you know the market. It's all about knowing your audience and designing products for that audience. Going forward, I'm going to change kind of how I'm doing these update videos. My goal is still to do one every single month, close to the beginning of the month if I can find the time and motivation to do it, just to share and hopefully motivate those of you that find it motivating to see bigger numbers, if you consider these bigger numbers, and keep pushing your own accounts. But I'm going to make some changes to how I'm doing this, where previously I would include all my expenses for my business with payroll and software and things like that. I'm going to change that a little bit. I'm still going to include the royalties from merch, but I'm only going to show the advertising expenses to calculate the profit from merch, as well as some software expenses if they're relevant, but I don't think I'm going to do that every single video. In the descriptions, I'll include every software that I'm currently using, but I'm not going to include the payroll costs anymore. And the reason for that is that my company is now producing some large scale designs for some larger enterprises. So the payroll expenses don't really reflect just my account and won't be accurate. So I'm just going to leave that out entirely. Just know that I'm constantly producing designs. Like I said, I'm sitting on a couple thousand designs. They're constantly producing, but it's not just for my account anymore. And it's going to be too difficult to segment just the design production costs from my account. So that's going to be changing a bit, but again, know that I'm always producing. That's how you scale, is producing design. So that's still happening. And I'll talk about the number of uploads that I'm doing each month and how many designs we have, that sort of thing, and what we're uploading to. So I'll still talk about those kind of strategies, but just not including those exact details from like the payroll and how to produce designs. And there's a lot of factors that would go into that anyways, how I'm producing designs. The costs associated wouldn't really make sense with how you may produce designs, especially if you're at a lower tier doing fewer designs, more illustrative or what have you. So so just going to leave that out. Just want to give a heads up on that. But I think that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. My goal is to start providing regular content. So make sure you join the Facebook group for Merch Mechanics if you're not already there, and as well as the Amazon Advertising University Facebook group that has a ton of great information. I'm going to actually be doing a lot more advertising content here going forward. Otherwise, if there's anything you want to hear, put it in the comments. And of course, if you got any value out of this, give it a like, thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. But other than that, talk to you guys soon.